So in this moment, I am impersonating an advisor just so that we can access a caseload. But I wanted to show you, if you use your conversation bar on the left, the little envelope, this shows all of the emails that you have sent through the Navigate EAB system. And you can see here, this shows that you're the one that sent them. In this case, I'm Dan O'Grady, our College of Business EMSA FSA online advisor. And you can see that these are not listed out by student, but rather this is my homepage as the advisor. So I'm the sender in this case. There's a variety of topics. And you can see some of these also have attachments, but these are not clearly designated as to who they went to. Now you can use this search bar over here on the right to put in a student name. So if you know I want to contact, or I want to see what my last conversation was with a specific student, you can put that student's name in and it will pop up and show you which of these are out to that specific student. The other way that you can find that information is to use the search bar and input that student's name. So for example, you put in one of his students on his caseload. That will in turn take you to the students page. And on this page, there is a way to quickly access the conversations. You can simply go to the More tab. And here you have a choice. You can see calendar features. You can see appointments you may have had or future past appointments. But you can also see conversations. Conversations includes texts or emails with that student. If you go here, you can see that Dan has had a couple of email conversations with this student, has sent the student an attachment. And so that's a quick way to find out, what your last conversation was with that student. One note about attachments, one of the things that we have discovered is when you're sending attachments, this system does not like commas in the attachment line. It also doesn't like uppercase in the attachment line. So whether you're sending attachments via email or you're uploading them into appointment reports or summaries over here, when you do that, make sure that you are using lowercase letters. That includes for simple things like JPEG. And then also our degree plans out of DegreeWorks. A lot of times those include commas in the naming conventions. And this system does not like commas. So if you're having a struggle with attachments in EAB, it might be because of uppercase or commas. So those are a couple things to be aware of. Another function that is handy is in the History tab for students. So when you look at history, you'll see that there are some options here. If a student has notes, if a student has appointment summaries, there are a variety of things that are held in that History tab. If you know that you want to get to something just very specific, you can use this drop down and you can find just notes about Nick. Notes are the very general, open to anyone, kind of broader issues. You can see alerts. These might be early alerts that are focused more academically. They might be financial concerns. We have a number of alerts in our system and we're working to broaden that out. Progress reports we haven't built out just yet. Appointment summaries. So if you are looking specifically as an advisor for case note kind of information, that's where you could quickly get to that information. So then you don't have to scroll through this. Right now, there's not a great deal of content in here because we haven't been in the system for very long. But as we continue on, there'll be more and more. And so this shortcut is kind of handy. I have another example. Let's see. We look at Ruth Ellen. And so again, if we go into Ruth Ellen's History tab, you can see there are a couple of different things here. One interesting item that's good to be aware of is for students who are continuing students, their case notes that were in activity history and Salesforce, those were migrated into Navigate EAB. Those are all in the note section. They did not migrate into advising appointments or summaries, even though they may have. They just went straight into note added. And so you'll see them in the note section. But here, if we just want to see notes about Ruth Ellen, takes just a second, and you'll see these are those Salesforce migrations. And we know that because it says SF email all the way through. You can hover and you'll see what those are. We also can go to the appointment summaries for Ruth Ellen. And then again, you can kind of hover, and this will just give you that little brief moment. You can go directly into the report as well. So if we wanted to look at that appointment summary in its entirety, you can do that. Now, if you have made a typo in here and you need to fix something, you may have an option to edit this. Wendy is no longer with us. Well, she's with us. She's not gone, but she's no longer an advisor here, so she doesn't have an edit option. But if we look at, go back to our Nick. And we want to look at one of Nick's notes. We see that we have an edit option. In this, I am Nick's advisor, Dan. And as Nick's advisor, Dan, if I needed to edit one of my notes about Nick, if I had put some incorrect information in there and I just needed to fix that so that the note was correct, I could go in and edit that. If I need to delete something, then I would want to contact my director of advising, whether that was Sam as an on-campus advisor or Tressa, myself, as an online advisor. Then I would contact one of those two directors for the delete option. But I can edit my own information as needed as an advisor of record. Hopefully that doesn't happen too often, but we're all human, so it does happen. One of the other things to look at is when you're looking at a student's record. So Nick just happens to be on the top, so we'll look at his record again. Students have this app available to them on their mobile devices, and that's one of the big selling features of this product. So if you ever want to know what it looks like to them, you can come down and flip this over to student view. Oh, I always struggle with this. There we go. So that you can see exactly what they see. And sometimes that's handy because I think it's easier to work with students when you are talking about what is exactly on the same page. And so you just have to remember to flip it back over to the staff view when you're done. That is a handy little tool. And then this page gives you all of the basic information about the student. So just wanted to show you that. If the student is an online student and is a WES student, then there will also be cohort information. And as an online advisor, I'm going to go to Dan's staff page. This will look different if you're a campus advisor because you wouldn't necessarily have those cohort students. But as an online advisor, you will see well, all of the cohort list is gone at this moment. That's super bizarre because most of Dan's students are students that would have the cohort tag, but it's just disappeared off of our screen. So we'll come back to that in a minute when it reloads. One of the things that you can see in this screen, though, is the different kinds of caseloads. And so you see my assigned students for fall 2021. You can also flip to all terms. If you have students who are assigned to you as a primary advisor, you can look at that. But also if you have students assigned to you as secondary advisor. And so, especially online, we do have some variability there. So it's nice to be able to flip amongst those different types of caseloads and see what the differences are among that. The other thing that I want to speak to is lists and searches. You have lists and searches. You also have an advanced search. I will say in my short experience with Navigate EAB, there's virtually no difference. So use whichever works the best for you. So in here, you have an option to build searches and lists. These might be commonly referred to as reports, but in Navigate EAB, they're called searches and lists. The difference between the two is that a saved search is dynamic. Once you build and save a search, it will regenerate with the most current information every time you open it, whereas a list is basically a spreadsheet. It captures the information one time, and then if you save it, every time you open it, it's just going to capture that exact same information. It will not change. It's static. And so a really, really simple search. Let me pull up here. It gives you all these different options of building a search. You can make a search as complicated or as simple as you would like. One of the most common searches that we've built for online thus far is just one that says for enrollment term, and you can expand this out, that we have been working on right now over the summer, students who were enrolled in spring and summer 21, but that were not yet enrolled for fall 21. We call that our hot list. We wanted to know who was registered during the spring and who might have also been registered in summer. It didn't have to be both, but that were not yet registered for fall. And then, depending on who was running this search, we would want to know and assigned to a relationship of primary advisor. And in this case, because I'm Dan O'Grady right in this moment, we would say that this was for Daniel O'Grady, and then hit search. So again, I would call this a hot list. This is saying that students needed to be enrolled either in spring or summer, but not yet registered. So enrolled in this system means registered and assigned to Dan. So of all of Dan's students, there were only 24 that attended in spring and or summer that haven't yet been registered for fall. So this would be Dan's hot list that he would be working to get registered. And you can see here that it gives their links to their student records. It gives their 910s. It also provides their GPA, exactly what their majors are, their class standing. And then over here in category, this is what I was speaking to earlier on the cohort. Normally this shows up on the front page for each student record. It lets you know, are they part of the Wiley cohort? And if there's a hold on their record, are they at collections? This is great information because you might work with these students differently. So from here, you have a lot of different things that you can do. You can choose to select all of these students and take an action. You can send them a message. If you wanted to send the exact same message to all of them, you could, and that message might be an email or a text. So when you click send message, it's going to ask you, do you want to email? Do you want to send an SMS? You could create a summary with basically a case note on each of these students. You could start an appointment campaign and reach out to all these students to encourage them to set an appointment to you. You could just try to schedule randomly with all of them. You could also make a generic note on each of these. I don't know what you'd want to issue an alert about other than hot list, they need to get registered. You could add them to a student list if you wanted to just keep track of on this day, these students weren't registered. You could export the results into a spreadsheet if you had somebody that might help you do outreach. You could share this information with them. And you can also show and hide columns. And so this gives you ideas. If you don't want all of these things listed, then you can make adjustments. So those are some of the things you can do with that. And it shows all of those records. Now, if you want to save this, then you would do a save. And you would say hot list. You would save that search. And now, whenever Dan goes to his lists and searches, that hot list will always be in there. Now, if 3 students register this afternoon, there will only be 21 students the next time that he pulls up that hot list. Also, from his homepage, he doesn't want to click, click, click to get to all those places. And he goes here to my assigned students. You can see in saved searches now that hot list is just right on his main staff homepage, which is kind of handy. So if you wanted to save that as a capture in time and he didn't want to export it to his desktop as a spreadsheet, he could save it into student lists and have it there as well. So many different options there that you can do. Those are just some additional shortcuts and other ways that you can use these features. So just wanted to share those options and hope that helps.